Rockingham Park's a very important parcel in the town of Salem. We're 170 acres large, and with almost a mile between Rockingham Boulevard and the depot. Most people don't know it, but the parking lot in the depot is still part of Rockingham Park. We've looked for a number of years at gaming legislation in the state of New Hampshire, feeling that that would be the most economically beneficial to the state of New Hampshire, to the local community, and to the region in general. By returning racing and bringing in a gaming facility, we feel that we would attract in the vicinity of 4 to 5 million visits a year, most of those from out of state. That would bring considerable revenue to the area. Those visits would be not only coming to the racetrack, but to the shopping mall, to the restaurants, to the various businesses on Route 28. And we feel that, along with the creation of over 1,000 jobs, would be tremendously beneficial. All of the legislation that's been proposed would provide a percentage of the revenue to the town of Salem in the event we were to be licensed, but in any event to the local host community. The state itself would receive considerable revenue based upon the gross gaming revenue and a percentage of that. And hopefully the state would use that revenue appropriately, particularly the continuation and finishing of the expansion of Route 93, which is the lifeblood of northern New Hampshire and central New Hampshire. If people have to sit in traffic for an hour and a half or 2 hours on Fridays before they can get up there, the growth isn't going to be what it should be. So hopefully that expansion will occur at some point. There are plenty of other places where the state could use the revenue, hopefully in some property tax relief for the residents of this state, hopefully for some business tax relief, so this state is no longer in the bottom and being good to business, but closer to the top, where it might be able to attract business from other states and locations. The hope would be to get something moving quickly in 2013, simply because Massachusetts is moving. There are 3 casinos that will be approved in the state of Massachusetts. In addition to that, there'll be 1 slot facility. Those facilities applications will be due late in 2012, possibly in the first half of 2013, and ultimately construction on those facilities may not be complete until sometime in 2015, maybe even 2016. But the window is still open for the state of New Hampshire to be able to pass legislation, and the ability for whoever is licensed to be open just before Massachusetts can accomplish that. So very hopefully the legislature in their next session will look very closely at this issue. It's been debated for 17, 18 years, and the hope would be that they come to a conclusion that works for everybody. In most cases, the anti-gaming people and some of the reasons that people are opposed to gaming, particularly a so-called increase in crime, really has not occurred in facilities opened in the last 5, 10, 15 years. I think most people look back at a history of the old Las Vegas or the early Atlantic City days, and that's not a very good model to use when you're thinking about a facility in the state of New Hampshire. And the fact is that at least this location would attract 75%, maybe better, of its customers from out of state, and that would tremendously help the state of New Hampshire in their tourism. People are not going to stop here and never go anywhere else in the state, but maybe they'd stop on their way up to the mountains or the lakes or skiing, or maybe they'd stop on their way back. Or maybe they'd simply think, oh, that's a place we might go for a little time next week, next month, next year. So our hope is that our new legislative body come January will review this appropriately, review the facts that are current, and look favorably upon it. The local community stands to benefit somewhat dramatically. As a percentage of the revenue that would go to not only the local community, but there would also be revenue that would go to towns that abut a town that has a license, and that would help to mitigate some of the problems that they believe may occur, and would provide some regional economic benefit, not only to the mile or 3 miles around Rockingham. In the local community, I think the primary benefit needs to be looked at if there's gaming, and ultimately if there is not. Rockingham has been here for over 100 years. I believe that we've been very, very good neighbors to the community, and of course we'd like to continue that. But as Massachusetts draws closer to opening up facilities, Maine already has 2, New York to our west, and Connecticut to our south, of course, have had gaming facilities for a number of years. In the event legislation can't ultimately pass, Rockingham is going to have to look at other forms of development. Regretfully, if that development is retail in nature, many of the facilities that are out on Route 28 today have expressed interest in moving to this location. Any residential whatsoever, I think, would have a definite effect on the community, and simply with the size of this property, whether there's commercial development, whether there's office development, retail, residential, all of that will have different impacts than having a gaming facility, which Rockingham has been since 1906. So our hopes are that our own legislators and those in the rest of the state of New Hampshire will look at this in a number of different directions. And ultimately, we feel that gaming is the appropriate and correct use for the property, best use for the property for pretty much everyone involved. So we're going to continue moving forward. Hopefully we'll get something done in 2013. Ultimately, if not, we may have to review some other development options, and we plan on working very closely with the town in order to accomplish the ultimate goal. So whatever support anyone can provide, we'll be more than happy to accept. Anyone who is interested in our gubernatorial candidates this year, there will be a speaker series at Rockingham Park throughout on Tuesday nights in July and early August, and we would hope that everyone would educate themselves and determine what legislators or what candidates would appropriately represent the people in this region. So thank you very much.